Hi, welcome back to Dev Suvara. Peter here, and I want to talk to you about test-driven development and generally any technology that you might use when you're developing software, whatever it may be, whether it's a new paradigm, whether it's a new process of doing something. I think we all overestimate the ability for us to learn and become adept at these systems and these technologies. So when I first heard about TDD, it was quite a while ago. It was about 10 years ago, maybe a bit more, about 11, 12. And I kind of tried it out and I didn't really get what was going on. And I didn't really do that much with it. And I kind of felt like, what's the point? I didn't understand it. And so I kind of really didn't do as much as I probably could have. And over the years, I kind of picked up a little bit. I've been reading and doing code bases and doing tests and, little bit by bit, picking things up over a 10-year period. And then I think I finally hit the spot, right? I finally hit where exactly I wanted to go with it. And I did it for building a bitstream reader, not a byte stream, but a bitstream reader where you would read objects at a certain bit offset and then kind of move through it. And I thought, oh shit, I've got to do a lot of this work and we don't have much time to build this component. I kind of went, let's see how I can pull it off. And so I sat down and I started doing TDD. I just said, this is the thing that I wanted to do. This is the test veil. And I had two parts. I had the encoder and decoder to do. And I started with the encoder and I built the first test, just basic pass, fail, pass, fail, pass, fail, pass, fail. And then I got to this point where I'm like, I've built this stuff that kind of works. And then I got to the last bit where I needed to do like another full test that kind of tests across different byte boundaries, all this stuff. And I thought, well, I actually need to change it. I need to change it to work. But the amazing thing was that I'd already kind of like absorbed the functionality into my unconscious somehow. And when I went to actually build it, it was so much easier to get through it. And I still struggled because working on bits and bytes and endians and shifting and anding and offsetting, it kind of like, gives you a bit of a headache. But eventually I got it. And I kind of felt like if I had tried to get to the end game first, I wouldn't have an understanding of all the pieces involved and I would have maybe missed something, but I had all these tests and I could validate if I changed something, then it would work. And this is after 10 years. I'm like, wow, this was so useful. And in something that I would have expected me to take, say, a week to do, 2 weeks, to build it and have it all working and validate it, without doing unit tests. And within, I think, 6 hours, within about 6 hours of coding and TDD back and forth, I built the encoder and the decoder. And here's the amazing thing. I actually went and asked one of the LLMs to build this out for me. And I spent about 1.5 to 2 hours just kind of back and forth. And I couldn't get it to work. The code wasn't working. It wasn't what I wanted to do. It wasn't passing the tests that it built for itself. And it was all built in Swift, right? And unit testing in Swift was, it's there for apps. I was building like a library. And so if you don't get something straight away, that's okay. Just don't worry about it. You might not like it. You might like it and you might explore it and you might dive into it. You might learn something, but never assume that just because you don't like something now, you might not learn it and apply it at a later date. So there's a lot of things out there that may be useful or may not be useful. Again, the message here is to be discerning and to give something a go, give it a try, and see how it works for you. Experiment, get out there, be open, be transparent, learn, try different things, challenge yourself. That's another important one. And I also want to add is when reactive programming, I ran into it, back in 2014, 15, and it'd been around for a while. I think reactive programming had been around for like a long time. From Microsoft, they kind of came up with this idea of, data streams and updating things from data streams. Not a new idea. It's, that kind of stream event-driven programming has been around since computers have been around. But it's just called reactive programming for whatever reason. But the implementation of it, the RX Swift and combined implementations of it on iOS, it took me a while to understand and to use that kind of methodology to program. Not only that, I learned that it's not always useful for every use case, right? So test-driven development, just like everything else, may be useful in certain use cases, but not always useful in every use case. So that's what experience and experimentation help you with. So go out there and experiment and learn and discover and try things, because you'll be amazed at what you can create when you pick up things and you master them. And in this case, 10 years it took me to master TDD. So yeah, that's it. I hope you enjoyed this video. I'm going to do another video next week with a little bit more very specific discussions about Bluetooth on iOS. There's a suggestion to do a video on background connectivity. I'm going to do a video to talk about that, how to do it on iOS, how Bluetooth connects for BLE devices. So I'll see you then. I'll see you next week. Bye.